Hey guys, welcome back to Rack Trackers. I'm Collin, and this is going to be the story about Crazy 8. So it wasn't until 3 years ago we got our first pictures of Crazy 8, and this was the first year that I started keeping pictures on my computer and making a folder for every different deer that we had. Following spring, when we were out shed hunting, my girlfriend Caitlin stumbled upon two different sheds. One was a year old and then one was from that year, and after going back and looking through some of the pictures, I determined that it was from that year. So we thought it was kind of crazy that both of these sheds were a year apart from the same deer, and we found them on the same day and had pictures of this deer on camera, so we called him Crazy 8. So fast forward to 2019, it was the summertime and I was running a few more cameras on this particular property, and it was about halfway through the year I got my first picture of Crazy 8. I noticed that he had a little drop tine growing on his left side. I basically dedicated my year to trying to find this deer and figure him out. So last year, 2019, I spent a good part of my bow season trying to figure out where Crazy 8 was at. It was in about the middle of October. I set a camera up in what we call the gap in the fence, and it's basically right between where I had pictures of him and where we found his sheds. So I figured it'd just be a good little pinch point, and it might be a spot that we could get pictures of Crazy 8. October 25th, I ended up tagging out. I shot a different buck on a different property that I was hunting, and I decided that we were going to go after Crazy 8 with my girlfriend Caitlin. Late muzzleloader season was the first time that we saw him, so we went all of bow season without seeing him all year last year, but we had pictures of him consistently going through that gap in the fence. At muzzleloader season, we put a blind up, and I hunted this blind, and I figured, shooting a drop tine buck with my muzzleloader, and I'm pretty sure he was a 5.5-year-old buck last year, it would have been something that I would have been interested in doing. So I was going after him pretty hard, late muzzleloader, sitting out there in the mornings, sitting out there in the nights, and I was just playing cat and mouse, and he would show up when I wasn't there, and that's when it really got interesting. Late muzzleloader season got over, and I kept monitoring cameras, and I put up a bunch more cameras around the property just to see what kind of pictures I could get of Crazy 8. The funny thing is, he kind of disappeared, and we didn't have many pictures of him in the winter time, but when it came around to the spring, we were going to try to find his sheds no matter what it took. So we got out at the spot, and we were dead set on finding Crazy 8 sheds. I really wanted to find the drop tine side, so we started looking everywhere, and it wasn't even an hour into our walk, and I found his first shed.
Boom, right there, there's another one. Oh, that's a nice buck too. Oh, that's that heavy 8-pointer. I got pictures of that thing. I got pictures of him in velvet, and maybe a couple more. He's starting to grow a little drop tine there.
So I picked up that first shed, and I started walking down the edge of the corn, and I just happened to turn around and look, and I looked back into the cornfield, and I could see another antler over there. Originally, when I picked up that first side, I didn't even think that it was Crazy 8 because of the mass. It was way more massive than what it looked on trail camera. So I went back there and I saw the drop tine. I picked it up, and I knew instantly that I just found Crazy 8's set. So I kind of lost it there.
Oh my God, it's Crazy 8. It's Crazy 8. It's Crazy 8. Oh my God.
So we had set out to find Crazy 8's set, and we found both sides. We were pretty excited about it, and we knew that he was hanging out on the farm. And like I said, we didn't have a lot of pictures of him in the wintertime, but where we found his sheds, it was kind of in a spot that we didn't have any cameras. So part of me was thinking that he might have been spending some more time there last winter, and that's why we didn't have a whole lot of pictures of him. 2020 is here, and we really want to get a good shot at Crazy 8. Joined up with Rack Trackers, and I definitely just want to do whatever I can to get a good mature buck. And Crazy 8's definitely that buck that I feel like he's going to be a 6.5-year-old deer, and I'm going to be going after him hard. There's a couple other good bucks in the area too. Obviously, I'm in Iowa, I have other properties to hunt, there's good bucks everywhere else, but Crazy 8 is the deer that I want to kill. I made a little food plot in the woods, kind of dead center on this property where I knew Crazy 8 would be moving through at some point. Part of me wanted to make this food plot just so that we would have more deer on the property, but the other part of me just wanted to make it so that it would be a good spot for Crazy 8 to go, and I've ended up putting a trophy rock in there just to try to get pictures of the deer, and I figured if Crazy 8 was in the area, this might be just what he needed to hang around. So we got the food plot finished up, and I put the trophy rock basically right in the middle of it, set a camera up, Lone Wolf custom gear, camera, and I wanted to see what was coming in there. So I went back about 3 weeks later and I checked the camera, and wouldn't you know, Crazy 8 showed up, and when I found his sheds I noticed a small bump on the bottom side of his right side, and I even mentioned it that, hey, it looks like he might be growing another drop tine, he might be a double drop tine. Well, he showed up on camera and he's a double drop tine buck. It looked like one of the points on his right side, it basically switched to the drop tine, so he was only a 3-point with the drop tine, making him 4 on that side. And either way, I was super excited, and I was super pumped to see what he was going to grow into. So I put the camera back out there over this mineral block. There's a lot of deer coming in and hanging out there. It definitely went through battery a lot quicker than what I would have liked, but the videos that I got were just phenomenal. I mean, I got a good look at every deer that was coming in there, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So the next time around when I came back to check the cameras, Crazy 8 was on there again, and he was crazy looking. He had 2 good sized drop tines. The one looked like it was just going to be huge, and I was so fired up. I knew that this was the buck that I wanted to kill. So we monitored the trail cameras throughout the year. I ended up having, I think, 5 and 6 cameras on and off in this property, and we had pictures of him nonstop, hundreds of pictures, hundreds of videos of him all year, and we kept a bunch of them, got rid of a bunch of them, basically just kept some of the better ones, and it was insane. It was just crazy watching this deer grow throughout the whole summer and just keep getting bigger. Next thing you know, we're getting ready for bow season to open up, and this deer he lost his velvet, and he was just insane. He had one giant drop tine. I figured it was probably about 1 foot long, and then the other one was 5 or 6 inches. So, I mean, we're talking about just a deer of a lifetime at this point if I could get him killed. So I was doing everything I could. I went in a little bit before bow season and I set up some new stands. And one of the stands that I set up was in a tree that I had picked out the previous year at the gap in the fence. And I knew that if I sat in this stand enough, I'm eventually going to get a crack at him. Opening weekend, we have a huge cold front. It's just perfect conditions, and I've been getting pictures of him almost every day for like 2 weeks straight. So I move in, and I go sit in the stand, and the whole time I was almost just shaking because I knew that there was like a 95% chance that he was going to walk by right through that gap in the fence, and I was going to have a 10-yard shot at this double drop tine beast.
I am literally the most nervous I have ever been in my entire life. So tonight is October 2nd, and we had a nice little cold front move in here. It's about 40 degrees outside right now at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been getting my number 1 hit list buck, the one we call Crazy 8. He's a double drop tine Iowa stud. I'm guessing he's about 6.5 years old or so. 6.5, 7.5. And he's been walking through 15 yards to the side of my stand right here every morning and every night.
So I was coming in and out of there every time that the wind was right for me, and I knew that he was showing up there and I wanted to try to kill him early. So I was doing whatever I could to get a shot at him, and he just wouldn't show up. We ended up pulling a camera a couple weeks into bow season, and I looked at the pictures of it, and I just remember getting a picture of Crazy 8 with his face right up to the camera, right down below my stand, and I noticed that he was missing one of his drop tines. He had busted it off. So obviously this wasn't something I was very thrilled about, and it almost left me trying to decide whether I wanted to still kill him this year or if I wanted to let him go and just see what he would turn into next year. So I kind of spent some time hunting some other spots, and I definitely had a couple chances at some nice bucks. I passed a big buck up just here by my house, and it was definitely probably a 150 or higher, and I don't know, he just wasn't a super old deer, and with a couple of the other bucks that I had on camera, I just didn't want to tag out in October on this buck, so I let him walk. So we're coming into the first week in November, and I want to take a week off of work, and this is what I've been waiting for all year. So I decided that I was going to take a week off, and it came to that first week in November and super warm weather. Went to work the first week in November, and then I took the second week off. So I hunted hard that whole second week in November, all the way through Thursday, and Thursday morning the conditions were good, and I decided to go after Crazy 8.
Hey there guys, we're back here in the stand after Crazy 8.
So after sitting in this stand so many times without seeing Crazy 8, it kind of got me thinking, maybe this deer is watching me walk in, or he just has to know that I'm here. So I kind of got to looking, and this deer was paying attention to the wind, and he was using the wind to his advantage. So he wasn't showing up every time I hunted there because the wind was right for me, but it wasn't right for him. So I waited for a time when the wind was right for him and not for me, and I gambled. I took a very high risk chance at going in there and spooking this deer, but I knew that it's definitely getting to the part of the year where he might wander off, or I might not get a chance at him if I don't make a move. So I went in there Thursday morning, got set up when it was still dark out, and it was just starting to get light. I was thinking about doing an interview, and I noticed a couple does coming up from down in the woods. They were trying to pick me out of the tree. They definitely knew something was up, and one of the does, it actually walked right underneath my tree and was standing there trying to pick me out, and it just couldn't. Next thing you know, I could just hear footsteps coming through the woods, and I just knew that it was a buck as soon as I heard it. So I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this if it's a good buck, and finally I get a glimpse out of him, and it's Crazy 8. He's coming right at me. I can just see that giant drop tine on the one side, and he's grunting, got his head down, and he's coming right for that doe that's standing right beneath my stand. So at this point, I know that everything that I've done, all the homework I've done, is all coming full circle, and this deer is going to be right below me. I just need to figure out how to get a shot and maybe how to get it on video. He was looking my direction, so I couldn't move. He was 10 yards away, and he walks underneath me and kind of starts walking out to the field. So it was my chance to grab the bow. I reach for my bow, turn the Tacticam on, put my release on the string, and he looks back at me, and I thought it was over. I was looking right into Crazy 8's eyes. He was 10 yards away, and I couldn't draw back. He happened to just turn around and turned his head and started walking out into the field again. So I started to draw, and that's when shit hit the fan. I was about halfway back, and there's just a snap, and it kind of spooked Crazy 8, and I noticed that something happened to my bow. So I kind of looked at it quick. The arrow's still there, everything was still intact. So I kind of got back on him and made a quick shot before he ran off. Definitely not what I had hoped for. I mean, he was 10 yards away, quartering away, coming out into the field, and if that were to happen, he would have been out right there.
Oh my god, guys, I don't know what is going on right now, but I gave myself some time to settle down. I legit just started crying. I feel like I probably just, I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, I don't think, but I think I just messed that up. I don't know if that deer's gonna die, and the arrow hit him, I'm almost 100% sure, because when I shot, the arrow like didn't just go into the ground. Like, he started running, I seen the arrow like kind of kick out like it was in him, and then I thought that I saw some blood, but it was way far back, and I don't think the bow broke because I pulled it back again and it was fine. But something happened, and he was right there. If that whatever happened went to happen, that deer would be absolutely dead.
Eventually I went down, found my arrow, and I had about 4 inches of penetration, and there was a good blood trail on the ground, but I still just didn't feel confident. I knew that it wasn't a good shot, and I was pretty worried. So we gave him a few hours, and we came back, got on the blood trail, and it was actually way better than I thought. There was solid blood, and I was pretty confident that we were going to find him. So we had the tracker on Onyx, and we tracked this deer for probably about 3/4 of a mile when it was all said and done, until where he laid down and he clotted up. We grid searched for a little bit that afternoon. We called it a day, decided we'd come back and just do some more grid searching, maybe get the drone up and look through the CRP. We came back the next day, and Christian came with me. Christian drove all the way up to help me look for this deer, which I can't thank him enough. I mean, we looked all over, and he ended up jumping Crazy 8 up and said that he looked pretty good. So it was kind of unfortunate that he wasn't dead, but gave us hope that he was still alive and he might actually make it. I'm just having a tough week. It was one of those things where, you know, you knew that you had an opportunity and it just didn't go the way you wanted it to, and it was the opportunity that I wanted, I was waiting for all year at my #1 hit list buck. So the end of the work week comes around, and I've been seeing more deer out of that stand too, a couple other bucks that were shooters, so I just decided to go back there. Maybe there's a chance that I would lay eyes on Crazy 8. Well, it's barely just starting to get light out, and I heard something walking down through the woods. I look down and there he is. It's Crazy 8. Almost like a fairy tale, like he's just walking out of the woods and he's coming right at me again. So I turned the Tacticam on, turned the GoPro on, and he's just being super cautious and coming out to the field. You could definitely tell that he was a little bit hurt, but he was going to be fine. So he was coming out to the field, had a slight limp to him, and he got to the edge of the woods, and I didn't know if he was going to take a left and I wasn't going to get a shot, or if he was going to come right out in front of me.
Boom! I just freaking smoked Crazy 8. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, I did it! Guys, he's going down, he's going down. He's going down in the field. I just freaking smoked Crazy 8. Oh my god! Oh! Ah! He's freaking going down. I shot him the very next sit in this stand after I freaking hit him the last time. He came out, he's still alive, but he's not anymore. I just freaking smoked him, dude. Holy crap. Oh, oh my god, it's over. It's freaking over. Oh my god. Oh my god, no one is gonna believe this. This is the craziest thing. Dude, this deer has literally changed my life. I didn't get it on the camera. I know the Tacticam was on, I'm pretty sure. GoPro's running. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Hello?
Caitlin!
What?
Crazy 8 just came out and I freaking smoked him.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I got him. He ran up to the top of the cornfield and he looked like he was about to fall, and then he just slowly walked into the CRP, but I freaking drilled his ass.
Dave!
He literally came just like limping out of the woods right off to my left, and he gave me like a 30-yard shot, and I freaking smoked him. Well guys, I got some redemption with the old expedition. So here's the deal. I mean, what happened to this bow was the smallest little mishap, and I mean, it could have honestly been my fault. I don't know exactly what happened. It was just an accident, and I went down to Decorah, went into Anthem Archery, and Zach down there, he helped me get back in the game. I was back in action, went and shot, and it was right on the money again. So, you know, it's unfortunate that something like that happened and that I made a bad shot. Just this past week, I just had the worst feeling in my gut, but I don't know, this has been the most insane story, and you know, following this deer for the last 4 years now. I mean, the first picture that we had of him was 3 years ago, so we have 4 different years of history with this buck. Mom,
Collin,
Jana,
did you get Crazy 8?
I shot Crazy 8. I frickin'
done with you yet, didn't I?
I frickin' drilled him,
You're
Mom.
gonna get another shot at this deer again. I'm like, there's more to the story. It's not done yet. I'm like, you gotta get your butt back out there. And you're gonna get it. And what happened? You got it.
Came over to Erlene's and sat in the stand that I shot Crazy 8 in last week.
Yeah.
And he came back out and I just frickin' smoked him.
Where's he at?
He ran up to the top of the cornfield, like towards the road, and he started like wobbling like he was gonna go down, and then he just like slowly walked. And I don't know if he made it across the fence or not. He kind of went like over the hill, but I made a perfect shot on him. He's done for.
I gotta see it to believe it.
I swear to God, Dad. Okay, Zach's calling me. I gotta talk to him too.
You drilled him?
I shot Crazy 8, dude.
That's sweet. Did you get it on video?
I had the GoPro going and I had my Tacticam going. I think it was too dark for the DSLR, but my Tacticam does pretty decent in the dark, and he was like standing right in the middle of the cornfield, so you'll be able to see him to a certain extent. But I mean,
Was he limping?
he kind of, you could tell that he was kind of hurt, but it wasn't bad. But I freaking absolutely drilled him, dude.
That's fucking awesome.
So when we went to get on Crazy 8's blood trail, we got up to the fence and I actually saw him get up and start walking. So I got on the blood trail and I had an arrow nock the whole time, and I was just trying to sneak up. He made it a pretty good ways again, which I wasn't very happy about, but I finally got down to the bottom of the hill and he was laying right there, and I was able to sneak up and make another shot on him.
There he is. We went and found where he ran to, and he jumped up, and the blood was definitely tapering off and he wasn't moving very quick, so I didn't want to leave him and have him wander off and not find him. So I just managed to sneak up and make another shot on him. It's just an amazing deer. I have a lot of respect for him. I wish it could have been a lot quicker, and like I said, I did everything I could, and he's done for right now. All right, so my dad just got here with the four-wheeler. We're gonna drive down in there. It's four-wheeler trails, and we're gonna go pick him up for the first time and recover this deer. Here he is. Oh my gosh. It's already getting pretty stiff, but look at that drop time. Can't believe I got my hands on him right now. That's freaking awesome. I had to come down here, and I followed him down here. He made it a long ways with almost a perfect shot. So I put another one in him and called my dad. He came back here with the four-wheeler so we could get down in here in the valley and pull him out of here. We didn't have to drag him like 600 yards uphill, but
first time that I got my hands on him. Absolute stud. This is such an old deer. I know for sure he's at least 6.5 years old, if not older. So, the oldest buck I've ever killed probably, but he's definitely a really cool one. I've been after this deer. I hit him last week, and by the grace of God, got another shot at him this morning. So, just an insane story. The old warrior right here, but we're gonna get him pulled up to the top of the hill and take some better pictures and stuff up there. Well guys, we just got Crazy 8 out here. Wanted to take some better pictures of him and get a better look at him, but it was definitely a morning that I'm gonna remember. After I got a shot at him last week and I hit him and didn't end up finding him. I didn't know if he was still alive or not, but he definitely was, but not for long. I mean, just the fact that I was sitting in the same stand and only a week later got another shot at him and ended up getting him. It honestly was just luck, but I've worked really hard for this buck, and I've lost a lot of sleep, especially over the last week or so. So I'm just super glad that I got him and filled this bow tag here before November's over. But we got her done here and couldn't be happier. There was a lot of lows this season, a lot of bad news in every part of life that some of us have been getting, and it was just a good thing to turn the season around, and it definitely put a smile on everyone's face when I was able to tell them that Crazy 8 was down. So something that hooked me on whitetail hunting even more, and it's just crazy that everything worked out in my favor. It honestly took a lot of work and it was very stressful. It took everything I had to kill this deer, but at the same time there was a lot of luck involved and a lot of God involved. So I can't thank God enough to give me the opportunity to be out here in Iowa chasing after these big whitetails, and to give me the opportunity at a deer like this, one that I'm probably not gonna be able to beat, at least not a story like this, for a long time.